us on Facebook at Salam Radio.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome back to Barakah Talks with Madiha
and Paria.
So it's been a long time, guys. We haven't been back for a couple of weeks due to a long break for Ramadan, and myself and Piri have had a lot of exams as well, so it's been quite stressful, hasn't it?
A lot of schoolwork, yeah.
So we hope that this can be an interactive discussion. You guys are more than welcome to comment and text on 07411 4111 1062 106.2 FM on Salam Radio.
And make sure to watch the live on Facebook and stream on Twitch.
Yeah.
Make sure to message on the live and we can see your messages and reply, inshallah.
So how was your Ramadan?
My Ramadan was actually quite busy.
It was so busy and so tiring. I feel like the sleep structure was just... My sleeping structure was so messed up. Like,
the sleep was like the biggest effect of it.
Yeah. I mean, you guys let us know how your Ramadan went, especially how did you cope with, you know, maintaining your iman and also like schoolwork. I think that was like a really big thing that was just so hard to maintain as well.
Or
Like,
even if you're not in education and you have some sort of job, how was it balancing the two?
Yes. So today's main topic will be all about iman and how can we maintain our iman even after Ramadan. So a lot of people think that, you know, Ramadan's all about, you know, praying our namaz, salah, trying to prevent ourselves from fitna, such as listening to music, backbiting, etc. And a lot of people kind of think that when Ramadan has finished, then it's halal to do all of those things, right?
Yeah, and I feel like that's why there's a lot of people whose imam rocket down and they struggle with their deen all over again.
So inshallah today we'll be discussing some different factors of how we can try to maintain our iman. And this is a lesson for ourselves as well, not just everybody else. I just feel like now that in Ramadan it was sort of like a balance where I had a routine that was mainly based on Islam and like praying, tahajjud, qiyam al-layl. None of it was really based around education or school, to be honest, because it was just too tiring. Like, it would be like staying all... I feel like at night time, you know, from after iftar and tarawih, it was just easier, and I felt like I had that connection a little bit more, just between fajr, I think. But during the day, I would just go to school and then come back and sleep. It would just be sleep and school during the day.
I used to think I could go the day without sleeping. I used to be that one zombie who would drink energy drinks
it was such a messed up sleeping pattern.
During suhoor.
What was your structure during Ramadan?
During Ramadan, I used to wake up. So either I wouldn't sleep the whole day, or I would sleep. And I would...
Oh, that's another thing.
Yeah, it was either like I'd have coursework that I had to get up onto, so I wouldn't sleep. I'd spend before suhoor, spend the night having energy drinks and studying. And then when it was time for suhoor, I'd have like the darkest coffee out there, right? I'd put so much coffee beans in there.
Oh my God, school
was actually...
you know what? School was awful being in class because I literally couldn't pay attention to anything at all.
Oh my God.
It was so hard, man.
You know, I run on emotions so much. Like, if I can't be asked to do something, if I'm really tired, I'll just be like, yeah, I'm not doing it. And that's such a bad thing about me.
And I don't know how people are revising Ramadan. Like, I tried doing this structure, like, where I would come home, sleep till 7, and then have iftar, pray, read Quran before iftar. But a lot of the times I would literally just wake up, like, it sounds so bad, but like 20 minutes before iftar. And then I'd only have time to help out. And then after, I tried revising for like an hour and a half, which just didn't work out because I'd want to go tarawih. And then by the time I come back, I would just be zonked, literally.
That's so true.
But I read a lot of Quran, but not as much as I wanted to. So it was just a lot of coursework. My goal was to finish the Quran this year. I just literally... maybe finished half of it, like 15 or 16 juz, but it was just I'm so angry at myself. But yeah,
you know, for me my goals were other things, so I didn't really, as bad as it sounds, I didn't really focus on finishing the Quran because I felt like there was other things I needed to do. Like, I focused on learning the 99 names of Allah and trying to learn more Quran off by heart, and trying to maintain a structure within my life. And I wouldn't say it didn't work, but it did help me
I think this Ramadan, my goal was mainly to pray on time, you know?
That's
like,
a big
as soon
goal.
as the azan, like, I put my alarm on, my alarm went off so many times in lesson, the azan would go on. The whole time, I had to put it on silent, like, 10 times in the whole week. It was so embarrassing. But the whole class would just turn around and be like, yeah, that's Media's phone. So my goal was to try pray on time. Alhamdulillah, I had a really, really, really good routine. Apart from my education, my learning, that was really bad. Just didn't get through any of that. I didn't really finish much Quran. That's really bad. But inshallah, next Ramadan it will be a lot more easier.
Inshallah.
There's tons of coursework to do. And yeah.
But I feel like regardless of how much we've done, it's the fact that you've prioritized your deen over your studies and things like that.
I mean, alhamdulillah, we had a masjid sleepover.
Alhamdulillah.
We did, little activities, short reminders, then we'd have iftar with the girls. I feel like, that sense of unity and having iftar with other people was the best part as well. That's what I enjoyed.
The fact that we were all so close to each other and had this nice, good environment to turn to strengthen our iman and things like that. It was such a nice feeling. Alhamdulillah.
So I hope this lesson, benefits everyone else,
including ourselves.
Yeah. So we'll just be going through some factors on how we can maintain our iman even after Ramadan, and of course some things will change. For example, we won't be going to the masjid as much because we have a lot of work. Sometimes we won't be praying exactly on the dot, as soon as the azan goes off. We won't get as much time to read the Quran. But I think it's all about prioritizing time and organizing time to, you can have a goal of let's say, let's read one juz a week. In Ramadan when we did one juz a day, let's try to do one juz a week. And I think iman, what does it mean to you?
So iman, not just what it means to me, but its definition is that iman is a believer's recognition in faith and the deeds in the religious aspects of Islam. And iman doesn't just mean belief, but it means affirmation and trust and implementing in what you do. I
think for me it means to be calm and kind in one's heart, to be protected from fear and trustworthiness, as well as truthfulness throughout our lives. I think we're constantly building and maintaining relationships. As Muslims, I think it's really important for us to be focused on maintaining one relationship in particular, and that relationship is obviously our relationship with Allah. And that's what we made during Ramadan. But it's all about how we can make goals for ourselves so we can maintain that even after Ramadan. And I think for us it's about understanding the meaning of iman. That can help us become better Muslims.
Inshallah.
I guess it's correlated with our relationship with Allah. In order to attain a certain level of iman, we need to know and understand the definition of iman. There was this hadith that actually, really inspired me. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that iman is belief in Allah, His angels, His messengers, the unseen belief in books, belief in the Day of Judgment, and belief in the good and bad of Qadr, divine decree. MashaAllah. So we've got one comment from Brother Faisal. One way to complete the Quran in 1 month is to read 2 to 3 pages, 5 to 6 times a day. Aim to complete 20 to 25 pages per day. 2 pages takes approximately 5 to 10 minutes max. That works for me. That's a really good idea. One of my friends actually did something similar to that. So after each salah, she would do 5 pages. So at the end of the day, she would finish around 1 juz. So that is a good tip for everyone.
I heard about that as well a lot.
Yeah, mashallah. So we have a lot of factors that will help us to maintain our iman during Ramadan.
Before we get on to the factors, how did you feel your iman was during and after Ramadan?
I feel like in Ramadan, I made a lot of time. After iftar time, I had a certain structure where I'd go Tarawih. Would stay and I'll do our witr, and then I'll walk home. And then it was really nice walk home as well. The vibe when you walk back from the masjid is such a nice vibe. And then I came home and then I'd read the Quran, one juz when I come home every day. And And then I think my connection was making a lot of dua. I found it quite therapeutic, you know, and having that connection with Allah by making a lot of dua and asking for things that I want and what will change me and in order to better myself. And also, like, I felt like going to a lot of reminders, you know, Sheikh Mahmoud Koli in the masjid. You know, I have my fiqh lessons on Fridays. This Salam radio, even though we didn't get to do as many shows in Ramadan as we wanted to, I feel like that's something that, you know, kept me going during Ramadan, and inspired me to do more good charity work as well. So I supported different funds during Ramadan. It wasn't like it wasn't a big donation, but you know, when you just have that goal to, even if the smallest donation, it could be to Turkey and Syria.
Yeah.
And then some of my friends were raising money for, I believe it was Turkey and Syria, where they were doing a canoeing race or a boat race. It was really good, mashallah.
Mashallah.
Alhamdulillah, they reached their goal. So it was 2 different funds that I supported in Ramadan. And I feel like that's what kept me going.
Do you feel like there's a difference between your iman now and during Ramadan? Because I know a lot of girls who say, oh, during Ramadan I was at my best, and now Ramadan's gone, I feel like I'm at the lowest of low and I don't know what to do.
You know what? With Ramadan, I felt like one thing that kept me going and, you know, like, helped me to better myself in Islam, it was being around other people, you know, like, because I was around you a lot. In the mosque we were with all our friends, the masjid sleepover, and I think that's what encourages a lot of us girls to want to post more. And also social media, like, I don't know if you would agree, but you know, when you go into like social media and you're scrolling down and you're seeing like so many TikTok videos, Instagram memes where like people are praying or doing something that helps them with their religion, it kind of inspires you a lot more. And I felt like that togetherness of the Muslims, you know, like the community being together, inspired me to, you know, practice my Islam more in Ramadan. And now that like everybody isn't really doing that even after Ramadan, that's kind of like just made me feel a bit, you know, I haven't really maintained it as much as I wanted to. But yeah, how do you feel about your Imani?
You know, when you were like, because there's no more unity now, like in comparison to Ramadan, there's a quote that says, there were 2 brothers talking in the masjid. One of them commented, the masjid is empty after Ramadan. His friends made a big statement. He said, the house of Allah has guests and a family. The guests have left and the family have stayed.
MashaAllah.
That just shows the difference between Ramadan and... What was your question though? Sorry.
I feel like, you know, when you go to Masjid Khadija, that's the mosque that I go to quite a lot.
Yeah.
That's literally where you'd feel at home and you want to practice your deen more. Sometimes I even go there just to pray Asr. When I pick up my little sister from mosque, you know, pray Asr or read a little bit of Quran. And, you know, just being in the mosque, it basically just, it encourages you so much to want to do more in the evening. And I feel like, you know, influence as well, who you're around, is a big factor of how that can benefit you in your Iman. So let's go through some factors that we would like to talk about today. So I think reflection on what the good things we did in Ramadan is really important. What kind of habits did you have in Ramadan that helped you a little bit more?
One of the biggest habits I had was that going to Tarawih every day. That was like one of my goals, was to like make sure I go to Tarawih every day, because I felt like going to Tarawih every day just made me feel more in the Ramadan spirit, and made me like, it boosted me to want to do more, and like seeing everyone there and, you know, things like that, it just made me feel more at home.
You know, one thing I quite like to say, that is a really beautiful thing though. Like, although Tarawih can be quite tiring, you know, it does create that vibe, and you know, the excitement of Ramadan, and the fact that everyone's doing it together at the same time as well, you know. Another thing was that it's like writing down the things that you loved and how you want to implement them even after Ramadan. And that's another thing that I like to do. And you know, one of the things that I really enjoyed was cooking for the community.
Oh my God,
so I set myself like a goal of, on Thursdays, we're going to bake this for the neighbours. And then I had like a few non-Muslim friends that I like to give my iftar to as well. So I'd make like cakes the night before and I enjoyed giving my food to them as well. So that was a good habit in Ramadan.
During Ramadan, what I would do, I would try to make, so this was beneficial for me and for everyone else. I would try to like cook a lot more, like for iftar or things like that. And even like when we would go to masjid, and you know, when we'd have them gatherings where people would bring food in and we used to have our iftar together, that was something I used to really look forward to.
I think the month gives you so much ibadah as well, so you can write down the things that you found difficult and what you really liked and how it affected your mental health. That's another thing, you know. Were there like any things that changed your mental health, like how you thought of how anything changed your aspects on certain things, changed your views on anything, anything new that you did in Ramadan that you never had?
This is so random, but something I enjoyed a lot and I would try to do a lot more during Ramadan was watch dawah videos, because it really like inspired me and encouraged me to like, because something like a lot of Muslims want to do is like obviously be able to advise not just Muslims but non-Muslims into Islam. And I have in my school, I have a lot of atheists. So my school is built up of a lot of atheists, and sometimes we just like to like have our little
debates,
yeah. And I'll just be like, so why don't you believe in God? And they'll be like, oh, evolution. No offense to anyone out there. We'll be having our debate, and I would like try to do a lot of more research and look into it more. Like I'll be like, okay, but in science it says this and that, but they also say this. And you know, when you're trying to like teach someone into getting into Islam, it also like you're telling yourself a lot more about why you should believe in Allah. And it made me feel a stronger connection, and like the way I'd look at things, it changed my view a lot. So just like remembering that it was Allah that created this tree or something like that, it was just really like,
I think,
you know, one thing,
I think for me it was I just feel like, you know, my perspective on certain things became a lot more stronger. I felt like, you know, sacrificing certain things for the sake of Allah, that was a lot more important to me in Ramadan. Like, you know, sometimes we have those thoughts where like you want to do something, but at the same time it's like, oh, we have to take our time. For example, you know, like with my hijab, you know, that's a little bit of a struggle to try put it on tight. And my goal this Ramadan was like, right, I'm not going to show the front part of my hair.
You look gorgeous in your hijab, by the way. I just wanted to say,
mashallah, thank you so much. That was my goal. I really wanted to start covering the front of my hair properly. Like, I go through phases of doing it, and then I just feel a bit like, oh, I look like an egg. I don't know. I
remember I saw you in a Be Real. I think it's one of your friends. I'm not going to mention their name. I was like, oh my God, Madiha, you're so gorgeous. I was so proud of you.
I tried doing it, but it was just, you know, when you have that thought like, I don't know. And then I realized, like, I listened to this, I think it's the Dawa man.
Yeah.
I think it's him. And he was like, you know, like one of those things that he said that when he was younger, he, you know, one thing that he wanted to, one of his biggest goals was trying to become closer to his deen. So he said that it was about a lot of sacrifice. And the only reason that he could, you know, stay focused without any of those distractions or those thoughts coming back to his head was completely sacrificing everything. So he said, I blocked all the girls off my Snapchat, my social media platforms. I became closer to my deen. I stopped doing any bad habits, but I didn't just have a few bad habits. And, you know, well, of course, everyone has a few bad habits, but he goes that I tried to take everything away from me, block anything out that involved a lot of fitna that distracted me. And that's how you can become more stronger in your deen. And I think that's one thing that I learned in Ramadan, you know, if you just sacrifice something for the sake of Allah, you know, it can better you as a person and just make you feel a little bit more stronger.
That's something I did try to do during Ramadan as well, alhamdulillah. And the best part about sacrificing things is you don't have to do it alone sometimes. Like, let's say I have a friend and I'm like, okay, I know that we do this a lot. Why don't we try to like block this off? And you know, you don't have to do things alone, because when you do things alone, Shaitan likes to isolate you and give you thoughts and things like that. Not necessarily during Ramadan, because obviously Shaitan's locked away. but during like any time, like you don't need Ramadan to change as a person. It's there to implement more better routine and things like that, but you don't have to do that in Ramadan. You can do that in a normal day. You know, just because Ramadan's over, that doesn't mean you can't change.
And even like my family members, some of my family members would still read the Quran after work or school. It wasn't a change, you know. And I think aspects of Ramadan is all about being yourself, your best self. And I think your behavior automatically improves and changes, like making promises to yourself in order to keep. Like, were there any goals that you had specifically this Ramadan that are like unique goals compared to like, okay, this Ramadan I'm going to read the Quran, complete the whole Quran, pray on time? Were there any like unique goals that you wanted to create for yourself?
I don't want to use this to be like show-offy or to point out the things that I've done, but one thing that I did do, not to get into detail, was get off social media completely.
Yeah, that's another big, like, another thing that affected me in Ramadan is, it's such a random thing to say, but you know when you look on TikTok and you're scrolling down and then you see like, oh, this one, I made this chicken drumstick. It's just like different types of food, and I'm just like, oh my god, I need to make that today. And that was like, I'd literally say them all to camera. I'll be like, this Ramadan, I have a goal to make all of these different types of food. And it would be such a distraction, because rather than thinking about, you know, things like Quran or like
so
zikr
true.
or anything like that, I'll just be like, Mum, I need to go shop and buy all of these ingredients.
And believe it or not, I have about 5 videos on my phone right now.
No, it just looks, it's like, oh my god, you just literally wanted to have everything what everyone else had, you know, on their social media. Like, I have to have that tonight. I have to have this tonight. But I just feel like social media was quite effective in Ramadan as well.
Yeah.
And like a lot of girls would go Tarawih and then record themselves going Tarawih, and it would just make me feel like I feel so useless. It kind of affects you and makes you feel really useless, even though you have, like, I had valid reasons not to go Tarawih, you know, especially waking up at 6, going to school, getting ready for school can be quite difficult, especially on school days. And another thing was, how have you prepared your household before Ramadan? You know how we clean our households and, you know, like play Quran, prevent things such as like not watching TV. You know, my mum, she turned the whole TV round, switched it off and put a prayer mat over it so that none of us could touch it and go onto it.
Was it like that the whole Ramadan?
Yeah, the whole Ramadan, no one watched TV.
MashaAllah.
So I just feel like, you know how you prepare your household before Ramadan, that's another really important thing that we should try to maintain even after Ramadan.
Yeah.
And when literally the day after Ramadan, like my little sister would put the TV on, I just felt bad. I felt so guilty. I was like, why do we have to put it on? Just switch it off. But just like the little things, like maintaining cleanliness in Ramadan and listening to Quran rather than playing like
other things,
music, other things like that. And even Ramadan, like, you know, like completely cut out listening to music.
Yeah.
And then after Ramadan, it was just like, okay, my goal is to not put on music this Ramadan. After Ramadan, I'm going to try completely. It was easy though in Ramadan. It was so easy to cut it out.
In Ramadan, yeah.
It wasn't hard.
You know, I don't know if anyone else relates to this, but after Ramadan, I had some like, so even before Ramadan, I didn't listen to music like that, because I was like, okay, it's such an unnecessary sin. Like, okay, I'll listen to a few songs. After that, like, what do you get out of it? You don't really get anything out of it. But after Ramadan, I felt like such a thirst for listening to music. I don't know if you relate.
I didn't feel like listening to it after Ramadan. It was just like, I wanted to maintain that routine that I had. And I feel like, you know, like a lot of people think that, okay, so we can't go Tarawih, we can't do this on time, we can't do that on time. So we're going to completely cut everything out after Ramadan. But I feel like, you know, Qiyamul Layl and Tahajjud, I still try to maintain that even after Ramadan. And it's such a good feeling. It's such an unreal feeling when you wake up for Tahajjud. I did that quite a lot of Ramadan, and alhamdulillah, it was like literally, you feel like a proper connection with Allah during that time.
You know, something else that I built during Ramadan, which actually like changed the way I think about, what's the last prayer that we do after Isha? Witr. Is it witr? Yeah. So I heard, I don't know if it was a video or a TikTok or something like that, and it said that a true believer, a true Muslim, doesn't ignore the importance of witr.
I never actually, like recently, witr prayer was something that I properly learned how to do.
Same.
I didn't understand it. Like, I'd go to the mosque, like, I've always known that Isha namaz, salah is just literally 4-4-2. And then when I went to the masjid, I was like, what is this salah? It's just 3 rakat, right? It was so confusing. And then I learned how to do it. Alhamdulillah, now I know how to do it. It's just, I learned so many new things in Ramadan as well. So we'd do that after Taraweeh, didn't we?
Yeah.
But yeah, Taraweehs were very long this Ramadan. I felt like they were really,
What I
long.
liked about Taraweeh was like giving yourself the goal to aim to do more. That was something that really made me enjoy Taraweeh a lot more and want to aim to better myself.
MashaAllah. So we're going to go on a short break, inshallah. And we'll be back. We'll be talking about different factors of how we can maintain our iman after Ramadan. Please feel free to message on Twitter or text the number that I'll read out loud after, inshallah. So we shall see you guys soon.
Assalamu alaikum.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
You could be driving, you might be cooking, you could even be working. But whatever you're doing, you're also listening to Salam Radio. And if you're in business, your potential new customers could be listening too. So talk to them and let them know what you have to offer. Advertising on Salam Radio is affordable and effective. And by doing so, you're also supporting this valuable and important voice within the community. Call 07866 319 679 or find Salam Radio online and across social media.
Running your own business can be challenging, so why not let Vaid Rahman and Tax Assist Accountants, established since 2003, manage all your accounting needs. Get the service your business deserves. Changing accountants is easier than you might think. There are no tax implications and you can switch at any time. Let our team guide you through the process. Tax Assist Accountants. Call us on 01733 892 299.
More Cars is so much more than a dealership. It is a warm, friendly, family-owned business set in the heart of Peterborough, located in our modern, bespoke, heated showroom with full dealership facilities. We source only the finest vehicles from many of the most prestigious marques. We specialise in low-mileage vehicles, which predominantly come with one owner and full dealer service history. Finance and warranty options available with bespoke packages. Contact us on Peterborough 555 330. Or visit our website morecarslimited.com.
Peterborough. Who said good quality fried and grilled chicken has to be expensive? At Sam's, we take pride in every piece of chicken that leaves our kitchen. Just one bite of our chicken or burgers is all it takes to realise we are the best. Visit us at our brand new place at 333 Lincoln Road, PE1 2PF. Or order a delivery through Just Eat, Uber or Deliveroo. Sam's, the home of great tasting chicken for over 30 years.
Are you a savvy shopper searching for the best food deals? Look no further. Adams Cash and Carry can help you save big. We're not just a food wholesaler for takeaways and restaurants. We also welcome household customers at our warehouse in Westwood, Peterborough. Visit our website and enjoy wholesale prices on everything from drinks to flour, rice to burgers and much more. To shop, go online and collect in store. Visit adamscashandcarry.co.uk today to start your savings spree.
Bite into something wonderfully tasty at Big Mouth, 349 Lincoln Road in Peterborough. Eating in, for takeaway or delivery, Big Mouth now have a delicious new menu full of all your favourites. Crispy fried chicken, juicy smashed burgers, finger-licking peri-peri chicken, handmade pizzas, quality doner meat and so much more. So visit the family-friendly Big Mouth restaurant for fantastically fresh food. Call 01733 201020 or visit getbigmouthonline.com.
at Salam Radio.
Assalamu alaikum everyone and welcome back to Barakah Talks with Madiha
and Paria.
Please text 074 111 91062 or comment on the live Facebook, Twitter and Twitch. So we were just talking about how we should maintain our iman after Ramadan, and we've been through a lot of factors already. Please feel free to share a comment, guys, so we can have an interactive discussion and hopefully we can answer some of your questions. You know, just comments like what kind of routine you had in Ramadan and what has changed from your routine and what you've managed to still maintain.
Or if there's anything you want advice about.
Me and Piria, we've spoke about how we've managed to still cover Qiyam al-Layl, Tahajjud, you know, still maintaining that togetherness with your friends as well and your family.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's another factor that I really wanted to talk about, you know, in Ramadan, I feel like one thing that motivated me a lot more was, you know, that sense of togetherness as well. Like when you proactive your deen together, for example, praying together with your family and having small Islamic reminders with your friends. You know, we did that quite a lot in the masjid, especially the sleepover. And especially with your family, like, did you like have a lot of iftars with your family?
Yeah, definitely. Most of the times we were just having iftar at home. I didn't really go out except for, you know, the mosque gatherings for iftar and things like that.
You know, like a lot of people tend to go out to eat at restaurants and stuff like that. But this Ramadan,
I don't know how they do that.
Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't. You don't feel that vibe when you do that.
Yeah.
Like I tend to go to Masjid Khadija a lot. You know, when we just went to those iftars a lot, and we organise iftars as well together. So you know, being able to, you know, enjoy your iftar with your friends and family, especially your elders, like. I feel like in Ramadan it's really important to, you know, have that respect and meet your elders, people that don't have company, you know, people that are lonely in Ramadan. That's another really important thing, you know. We'd have a lot of new Muslims in Ramadan as well that would want to share their iftar, and that's another really important thing that kind of reminded me was my mum. She runs, you know, the new Muslim circle, so, you know, for her she'd get like, you know, she has a lot of new Muslims that obviously didn't have a Muslim family to share their iftar with. So, you know, mashallah, the Halim restaurant down Cromwell Road, they shared their iftar. You know, they'd give their free food to new Muslims, so they would have somewhere to eat and share iftar with other new Muslims.
Allahumma barik.
So that's something that was, you know, such a beautiful thing in Ramadan, sense of togetherness, and that's what kept me motivated in Ramadan, you know. And feeling that vibe, as well.
Did you ever go down to see the new Muslims?
Well, I went like twice in Ramadan to the new Muslim iftars, and there were so many. There's a lot of people there. There was a lot of people, and you know what's even more beautiful? There's like a younger generation of new Muslims as well. So you get a lot of people that are converting from the age of 16 to 18, and you know, I feel like it's really, really hard for them as well, because they don't really have anyone to share their iftar with, especially being so young.
Definitely.
You know. And I feel like in Ramadan, it's just like, what are the things that you can do in Ramadan that you can develop over the years? For example, maintaining relationships, maintaining gatherings and relationships as a community, visiting the sick, being around your elders, and just visiting people who are lonely, you know? So did you maintain going to like eye care, for example, you know, my eye care I do every Friday?
I wasn't able to go to eye care. I don't think I went the whole Ramadan. Because of things like, you know, having to help out with the family at home and things like that. Yeah, schoolwork and things like that.
I really wanted to do the eye care on Fridays but the only thing was it would clash around, you know, like iftar time and helping at home as well. So it was just like at a time that was pretty inconvenient for me, but I really wanted to go because I did that quite a lot before Ramadan. And you know, that's like it's a tick box, you know, you can tick the box knowing that you've given charity at least once a week in Ramadan and you've helped give charity to those who are needy. We have another comment from Brother Faisal saying, iftar at the mosque is the best. You get to pray in Jama as well as socializing with friends and family too. Also taste different food and everyone brings to share. You know what was one of the most beautiful things about Ramadan this comment reminds me of, you know how there were so many people, Muslims from different cultures in Ramadan.
Yeah, the diversity is so beautiful.
And the different foods. You know, you'd go up to the table and everyone's in a queue, and you'd literally try so many different foods, especially your curry that ended up being a little bit too salty.
But I was actually really annoyed that I came out so salty.
No, it was really nice.
That was, you know, one thing about cooking during Ramadan is that you don't get to taste the food. And even though I did try to taste the food without having it, it still came out salty.
You know what? I don't like tasting my own food. I'll make food and I don't like tasting it.
Why?
I don't know. I'll bake something. I'll be like, that looks really nice. I can eat my brownies. I can eat my brownies.
Oh, that's it just dessert thing?
Dessert things I can eat even if I make it, but just food, I can't eat it. And no one lets me cook. Like, you know what I find really annoying? Like, I'll cook something and I'll be like, I'm going to cook to my whole family. Everyone will be like scared. No, don't cook. I'll cook and then everyone will eat the food and be fine with it. So, and I'll be like, yeah, the next time I'll cook, and then we'll have a problem, and then the same problem happens. So in Ramadan, I don't know, like I cook a little bit of food, but mostly cakes and desserts. That's my thing in Ramadan.
I remember you made like what was it? Like a jelly thing.
I made
I don't know what it was called. Trifle. Yeah, it was so good. Mashallah.
Yes, I really loved
it.
It
actually came out so nice.
Yeah, that was really nice. But yeah, that was a really nice trifle. I need to start making some of those recipes.
Big bowl again as well.
Yeah, it was a really big bowl. But there was a lot of jelly. I think I put too much jelly in it.
No, I liked the jelly.
I just think that was a little bit too much.
I really like the jelly.
I think in Ramadan, the aspect of the Quran and how you are regimented with the Quran during Ramadan, how you can do that afterwards, just the day. We spoke about this earlier on in the show as well. For those listeners that are listening to the show right now, we mentioned, you know, Brother Faisal's comment, one way to complete the Quran in 1 month is to read 2 to 3 pages, 5 to 6 times a day. You aim to complete 20 to 25 pages per day. So overall, that would be 20 to 25 pages per day, and takes approximately 5 to 10 minutes max. So that worked for Uncle Faisal. And that was a really good idea that we spoke about earlier on in the show. So, you know, how did you maintain reading the Quran in Ramadan? Like, what time around the day did you read it?
I would read the Quran after Tarawih or after Fajr. And it was, so if I was at home praying Tarawih, which was it wasn't really common. I'd mostly do it at the mosque. I would read the Quran as I'm praying. You know, when you hold the Quran and you're praying as well, that was something I really enjoyed doing, because I'm not someone who knows a lot of Quran off by heart.
You know, one thing that I saw in the masjid was a lot of people would stand up and then they would read the Quran while they're standing up. I've never seen people do that. And
I actually did that.
I wanted to do it. I don't know if that's like a difference of opinion. I'm not sure, but
I did some research on that actually at home, and it said that it's not sunnah or anything like that, and you can do it, but it's not advised, because first of all, it can distract those around you when they're praying, because you're opening and closing a book, and like you have to move the book around as you're praying and things like that, and it can take you away from sunnahs during the prayer, like being able to, you know, hold your arms while you're standing up properly, because you have to hold the book, and things like that. And another thing is that you can't read the translation of the Quran when you're standing and doing the prayer, because it voids out your salah, because the translation isn't that like literal meaning. It's like they're trying to be able to translate it in the English language. Even though understanding the Quran is important, but so if you were to hold the Quran while you're praying, it's best to do it at home where you're not distracting anyone. So that's why after finding that out, I tried to lessen how much I was holding the Quran while I was praying. But with me, it helped me, It helped me be able to control where I was putting my attention. So I was able to focus more while I was praying, because I was reading the Quran.
I feel like, you know, when you finish reading the Quran, or you spend 1 hour reading the Quran, I feel like it changes the way you speak. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but I don't know, you have this sort of way of speaking. It changes your tone.
Are you talking about in English language or?
No, Arabic.
In Arabic?
like there was that reminder that I think I mentioned on one of the last shows, that Sheikh said that if you read Quran for 1 hour non-stop without any distraction or, you know, fidgeting, then this whole feeling of how you felt before you read the Quran will change after you read the Quran. You'll feel so much more at peace and ease, and your mindset will change for the rest of the day. I did try that, but obviously I got a little bit distracted halfway through reading the Quran. Like I timed myself, I put an alarm on.
MashaAllah, Allahumma barik.
Alhamdulillah. What are the other factors regarding mental health during Ramadan?
Ooh, mental health. What do you mean?
Some of the emotions, some of the things that affected our mental health in Ramadan.
Definitely sleep. Definitely sleep. That was something that really affected me. Should we go back onto the Iman topic? Okay, so because a lot of you have been saying like, how do I maintain my Iman after Ramadan and things like that, we thought to like try to put some steps out and try to help you guys if you're struggling with low Iman. And by the way, it's not an unnatural thing to have low Iman. It's actually quite natural. A lot of the Sahabas also dealt with this problem, and those after them. But Iman covers 5 things. The first thing that Iman covers is statements which are present in your heart, which is things like you know, tawakkul in Allah and Tawheed, believing in one God, things like that. That's statements of your heart, and the actions of your heart as well. Like, that's number 2, by the way, the actions of your heart. Like loving Allah, fearing Allah, trusting Allah, and hoping in Allah. And the third thing is statements of the tongue, like the shahada. That's the big, like, you know, when you make your, I don't know how to say it in English. You know, when you're making an intention to do something,
you testify.
You say it out loud. That's something that you don't have to do that, but that's also part of Iman. And actions of the tongue, like dhikr, dua, istighfar, keeping away from backbiting, controlling your tongue, things like that. That's something I really try to do during Ramadan.
I feel like, you know, when you're distracted, like when you don't have a routine and you're just not doing anything, then you'll be more prone to doing participating in bad habits, you know, like backbiting, gossiping.
Definitely.
Even like in Ramadan, like little things that I did that I would feel guilty for, like, you know, going out to town and shopping and just wasting my time after work.
Oh yeah.
I have this really bad habit of going town after work and just spending loads of money. And I just felt like those were really, really bad habits. Especially like scrolling down. You know how I mentioned in the first half of the show, like scrolling down through TikTok and Instagram and like social media platforms. You know, wanting certain things that other people have in Ramadan, just like not a sense of jealousy, but a sense of like, you know, you just feel bad about yourself in Ramadan. And even like little things that I don't know if you can relate to it, but you know, like certain dresses that people are buying, like, okay, I'm buying this, I buy it for Ramadan. This is gonna be my Ramadan fit for Taraweeh. You know, like promoting so many different abayas. I feel like spending money was a really big thing in Ramadan as well. And keeping it simple is such an important thing. And you know, like how people, I'm having this feast tonight for iftar. There'll be so many different types of food, and you just think, okay, I'm only having like dal and rice. Like, I need to make something like this. Just pressure all the time, like peer pressure to do something that everybody else is doing in Ramadan. That was one of the biggest things that I struggled with as well. And like, oh, here's my Eid fit, and everyone's focused on their Eid fit. That's in like 3 weeks time. Like, why are you focusing on your Eid fit right now? It would just be like that, I think. And like people traveling from one city to another for big iftar, and I felt like, oh, I'm not really doing any of that kind of stuff.
That's true.
I'm just here in Peterborough. Just a lot of pressure in Ramadan. I think that's one of the things that I struggled with a lot. But then, you know, when you'd remind yourself that Ramadan is always about simplicity and self-reflection a lot as well. So that's one thing that, you know, it was a reminder for myself to not worry about these kind of things. So I think for half of Ramadan I had TikTok and social media platforms. The rest of Ramadan I deleted those platforms because I just thought, you know, like, I want to focus on myself and stop feeling so envious about these kind of things, I want for myself. Like, if I didn't look at that, I wouldn't have wanted that for myself,
With me, during Ramadan, I saw like, how you'd spend so much money on food and things like that. That was something I tried to refrain myself from, because when you, like, we were speaking about this the other day, like, when you actually think about it, if you're spending like £10 on food or something like that, it's just like getting a tenner and eating it.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't get anything from that. It, like, the tenner goes where? It goes into the toilet.
I just feel like, like how we spend so much money on our iftar and like just wasting our money on so many different things. Like, you could have just given that to charity, like
so
our
true.
goal to do charity and stuff, like, it's just a big distraction.
But something I did like about Instagram was that, how lots of people would promote charity during Instagram. This depends on the types of pages that you are following. But they would be like, make sure don't forget to send charity during this holy month because it's 70 times more or higher than that. And, donate to this charity for this cause. And they would promote lots of charity places. And they'd post it, and it was such a nice feature that Instagram had, where all you had to do is press a button, and if you had your details already synced onto there, you just had to do your Face ID or like your PIN or something like that, and the money would go through. And they made charity so easy, so that was something I really enjoyed, which promoted charity to me personally.
After Jummah, there'll be that little cash machine you just tap.
Oh yeah.
And then with £5, donate £5 to this. So yeah, those little
card
little
one.
things, the little card one. Those little things were really helpful in Ramadan, especially even the bucket.
Definitely.
So feel free to message guys 07411191062, or comment on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. We really want more comments so we can answer your questions, take whatever your thoughts are into consideration, and have a bit more of an interactive discussion.
Definitely.
So, what other kind of factors have you mentioned, how to maintain our Iman after Ramadan?
So, how to deal with low Iman, because a lot of people have been struggling with this, is to understand that as a Muslim, it like I said, it does happen and it is natural. And remember that without low, there's no high. That's something for everything. For example, like, without feeling sad, you won't feel happy, but what you have to do is find the cause behind it. Now, something that used to happen to me quite a lot, this was like back before I started being so close to my deen. Whenever I used to do something wrong, I wasn't able to wake up for Fajr, or I'd miss a prayer or something like that. And that was something that hinted to me that something I've done within the day or within the day before was wrong. For example, like, let's say I'd listen to music, not that I do, the next day I wouldn't be able to wake up for Fajr or something like that. And that was something that I'd used to compare how well my deen was going. Or I had a diary, I still do. I don't really journal as much as I did before.
That's kind of similar to what we spoke about in the first half of the show, like documenting what you did in Ramadan.
Yes.
And what are the positive things, what are the positive habits that you did, and some of the things that you are still maintaining even after Ramadan. So, that kind of links to what you're saying right now.
Yeah, and I used to write, I used to have this like row of 5, and I used to add whether I've prayed Tahajjud, whether I've prayed, what was that prayer called again? No, that is Tahajjud.
Tarawih. I mean, no.
Dhuhr prayer, which is before... No, not Duha prayer, sorry, which is before Dhuhr.
I don't know what Duha prayer is.
It's
I've never heard of that.
We spoke about this the other day on show, and
I've heard of Qiyamul Layl and Tahajjud.
No one speaks about Duha prayer, actually.
I've heard it, and I was just thinking, what is Duha prayer?
Duha prayer is like, it's like Tahajjud, but it's before Dhuhr prayer.
Oh, okay.
And when you make dua and things, I think it was said that Allah will guide you that whole day. Or something like that. I'm not sure. But I would write down like whether I've prayed my like extras or whether I've prayed that prayer on time, because that was something that was really important to me. And if I didn't like pray that prayer, like if I prayed that prayer late, as in like after you were meant to pray it, I would write that down. And if I didn't pray it, I'd also write that down. And that's how I would be able to measure how well I was doing within my deen and things like that. And I feel like that's something a lot of you might relate to. Or it may just be not feeling a connection with Allah like you did before, or feeling guilt. Feeling guilt is a really easy way to measure.
You know, I don't know if you felt this, but you know, like a lot of the time in Ramadan, I'd ask certain things like, I don't know, at certain specific times of the day, and I just feel guilty asking for that, because I thought I never, even before Ramadan, like, do I ever make time to, you know, ask Allah for certain things and, you know, thank Allah and be grateful for what He's given us. So did you ever feel that guilt, like, why am I asking now when I should be doing this?
Definitely.
Every other day.
I felt like I didn't speak to Allah enough. Like for me to be asking from Him something, I should have, like, I feel like I needed to create a stronger relationship with Allah to be able to ask things of Him. Because like even like nowadays, like if I'm asking you of something, or if I'm asking a stranger of something, I'm not gonna go up to a stranger and ask for something. I'd have to have a relationship with them, know who they are. But at the same time, Allah is not us, you know. Allah is God, and Allah, He's merciful. Allah has traits that we could never have. And because Allah is God and He's so much better and so much better than us. So obviously we can do things like that, like as don't feel guilt for that, but also it is quite good to have guilt, because it is like it does push you to create that relationship with Allah before asking for things. So I don't see it as a bad thing, but don't feel like you can't do it at the same time.
Did you ever like look on social media and just think like, I wish I was on Umrah? There were so many people on Umrah this Ramadan. Like,
definitely.
You know what? I really wanted to do this Ramadan. You know, when you look at it, loads of people were outside Masjid al-Aqsa. And I really wanted to go Masjid al-Aqsa. One day I'll go, inshallah.
I wanted to go to just anything.
You know, like how they were all doing charity work outside the Masjid al-Aqsa. And then there was one girl that went to Masjid al-Aqsa, Jerusalem. And then from there, she went to Umrah. And I was just like, oh my God, I wish my Ramadan was like this.
You know, as we first stepped into Ramadan, a lot of people went Umrah straight away as soon as Ramadan started. And that's where I was like, oh my God, I really want to go. So inshallah, Allah allows us all to see Hajj and Umrah. Inshallah.
If it's meant for us, it'll just come. Like a lot of people are thinking like, you know, I've got to save for Umrah, I've got to save for Hajj. But if it's meant for you, then, you know, that shouldn't be a worry. It'll just come to you anyway.
Carrying on, sometimes you will either, so you know when you're finding out the cause behind what you're doing that is affecting your iman, you will either have to cut off the thing that is causing it, or cut off the thing that is leading to it. So for example, when you were saying how Dawah Man had to delete all social media, not just remove the people that he had on his social media that affected him to sin and things like that, but he deleted the actual social media which was leading to things like mixing and stuff like that. That's something that we can all do. Or things like it doesn't necessarily have to be a platform.
Even music, like, you know, when you say, oh, this is something I have a bad habit of doing, I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna cut out music, but it's okay to listen to one song. It's okay, like today I'm feeling like I feel like I need to listen to a bit of music, make me feel a bit better. And then I'll listen to one song and I'll just be like, oh, one song's okay, man. Come on. It's okay. It's just a one-off. And that's the reason why, like, it can just make you go back. Because once you listen to one song, you're like, I need to listen to more songs. I mean, that's why you should completely, you know how we mentioned in the first half of the show, just completely cutting out those little bad habits.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we spoke about this topic before, but you know how Shaitan has small steps? I think we definitely spoke about this, but this was when our show was called something else.
Yeah, the Hidayah podcast. Yeah. That was just a big failure. The name.
Shaitan, he likes to tell you to do things that are halal before he tells you to do haram. Which is, so for example, let me tell you, I know it sounds confusing, but for example, like Shaitan will be like, you know, you've prayed your salah now, you can rest, you know, have a little rest. Now, that's not haram, but when you do too much of it, it can, you're wasting a lot of time where you could be doing something a bit more better. And it can lead to like, you can do your salah 5 minutes later. Is it haram? It's not haram. Like, it's not haram, but it's not advised to do. It's not something good you should be doing to push away your salah.
And you know what the scary thing is? It's mostly like, like in Ramadan, like how the shaitan are locked up, but like now it's just you. Like, this isn't shaitan whispering in your ear. This is like your actions and how you should change that.
Your nafs.
Your nafs.
Definitely.
Exactly.
I think we should, conclude about what we were speaking about today.
So if you guys, we really wanted more comments in this show today. Inshallah, next week's show will be a little bit more, prepared with so many other comments that we can talk about. We hope you guys have benefited from our show today. Maintenance of Iman after Ramadan. Inshallah, you guys will
try to include more good habits into your daily routine, and inshallah, your Iman will be fine.
Inshallah. So you were listening to Pari Amadiha and Barakah Talks. Salam Radio.
Assalamu alaikum.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.